What's good, Hente? Thank you guys once again, like always, for tuning in. As you guys can see on the thumbnail and on the title, right? Yep, we're gonna be making a profile on Badass Snoop, and it's gonna be a good one. So I hope he doesn't mind, right? Because I know this dude's someone that will get in his feelings from time to time, right? But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So if you do, man, make sure to hit a thumbs up for your boy. Make sure to subscribe, hit that follow, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, right? And I honestly hope you guys enjoyed this video. So make sure to drop comments as you watch the video or at the end of the video to let me know what you guys think. So let's get started with Badass Snoop, man. Why is Snoop someone that happens to be on pretty much everybody's platform as why it's videos or just giving you guys a description of what this individual is, or how he programs, right? A lot of them have thrown a lot of fake stuff, of course. They haven't done time with them. They haven't done a lot of things, or they haven't had certain actual encounters, right? This is something that has been put out there by Snoop himself, right? So this is someone that actually comes online here and there. But here, man, I'm gonna have to give you guys a little bit of feedback, especially when it comes to this title, right? I did put profile, so I gotta give you guys a little history of how this dude became so popular, and how he actually became someone respected. Even though he is a dropout, people will still talk somewhat like way good about him, or just let you guys know that he's actually with the business, right? So let's get into that, man. I hope you guys enjoy this video. So who is this dude Snoop, right? He happens to be an ex-Norteño from Sac, I believe from the Oak Park area, right? But of course, back in the days, it was a little bit different, especially when people hit the pin. It wasn't really something that was mandatory for all Norteños to function. And I believe a lot of people have already heard a lot of these stories, right? Where people have pretty much said that like the certain organization ended up taking a little bit more control nowadays. But back then it was a little bit more different, right? So there's been people that actually have said that Snoop was never actually part of no actually being trying to be part of like that little movement, right? Like the politics and all that shit. But at the same time, there's also been videos where he pretty much had said that he had politics in some type of way, and he did function, right? Where he just did kind of felt oppressed, when it came to the organization. So of course, what made him different from like the rest of these other dudes that have pretty much fallen out or went out of favor, right? Well, this is someone that actually, before he ended up going out of favor, he ended up actually getting off, on a certain group. But of course, it wasn't just him. There was plenty of others, right? But the other characters weren't really as popular, especially because they didn't go out screaming or yelling anything out like Snoop did. So when Snoop ended up getting off, and the videos have been put up online, and he's actually spoke about it, right? Because this is something that he actually looks up to a lot. And a lot of people, man, not just him, but most of the ones that are part of his movement and his push, right, happen to look up to that date as the declaration of war or just the separation, right? Because at that time, of course, even though a lot of people like to say, oh, they were straight PCs, no, Chales, like I said, it wasn't just Snoop himself, it was other individuals, and they were all active. But Snoop ended up deciding to take the groups a certain direction, and that's what ended up going down. But that's another subject, of course. So we're gonna keep it to his profile. So he ended up fighting against the Nuestra Familia and actually declared war. So as he ended up declaring war and doing all that, that's when he ended up coming up with the bright idea of calling the group Norteño Rider, right? And it actually happened to be something that ended up getting a kickstart, right? Because there was a lot of Norteños at that time that actually didn't feel or like where the organization was actually kind of going. So they felt that it was better for them to be part of a new group, right? And for the people that were like, man, well, why did he call it a norteño rider? He has actually spoke about it, and like a lot of people like to say that he didn't believe in the whole norte. I believe that that was one of the main things that he wanted to push, right? Like for like all the norteños to pretty much just follow suit. So I know there's gonna probably be a few, especially because there is other stories that have been put out there where old boy was technically already in bad standings and he had to technically get off, right? But the reason why I can't really fully agree with that, even though more than likely he was already getting put in a question mark, it was because there was other people that I mean I happen to be real cool with and that tap in with that have co-signed that they wasn't just old boy gonna be in the one that just got off, right? There was more people, man. It was more people. It wasn't just Snoop. So this was something that was getting plotted, right? In the back, you know. So old boy was just pretty much the first one, and him doing all the yelling and just he ended up being the one to kickstart that shit. And nowadays, I mean, he takes full credit for it. So it is what it is. So it started as norteño riders, of course. A lot of norteños ended up just joining and actually liking the push, right? And just because it was called norteño, because a lot of them were actually ex-northerners, but with time there was a lot of actually sureños that were joining, Woods brothers, just a mixture of everybody, right? That was actually just against the whole political push, right? That they didn't want a politic, they didn't want none of that, right? So a lot of people started joining, so they did change their name, of course, just to Riders. And now, you know, you guys know there's a big difference. So now they go by certified riders, but I'll explain towards a little bit towards the end, right? But why do people respect this dude and actually say that he's actually with the biz, right? Like, oh, this fool run all fates, right? I know there's gonna be some fools that clown and be like, man, what this Backstreet Boy looking ass dude, right? You know, because I know I call him Pauly D, but I know there's different people that have said different names. And yeah, man, even though this food does not fit the description of like the typical gangster or a typical person that would be running a group, right? Because I ain't even gonna lie, when I used to hear stories of Snoop, I would totally picture someone hella different, right? Because they do talk real highly of him. And that's one of the reasons why he's been able to have control over a lot of people, right? Listen, I'm gonna be quite honest, man. Even though out here in the calles, a lot of the riders don't really listen, right? In jail, there happens to be a few that they swing on him and they happen to use his name just to get some type of status, right? And like I said, man, a lot of the stories that get thrown out there, you honestly don't picture Snoop being the individual that he is, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that he's not with the biz. You know, I'm not trying to say that. More than likely he is, but you guys gotta be quite real. Anytime this individual happens to be in a yard, more than likely all the compas that are there, no disrespect, right? They're over there writing that fool's reports. And if this fool tells them to jump or anything, right? If someone just probably even looks at this fool, they're more than likely gonna get off. And that's what got this individual to change his name and start calling himself the president now, right? Just to, I don't even know. I don't know what the bright idea was about that. I know people have made videos, but I didn't really fully watch them. But if they're still up because some were taken down, make sure to tap in and check them out, right? Because like I said, man, people do talk really respectfully about this dude. They say he's really with the business. There's only been a few content creators that actually have put some things out where he got beat up by a bulldog. So it's not like this dude is not touchable, right? But like I said, I'm not gonna take the fact that he hasn't gotten off, and I have heard stories, right, by some real close homies that actually can say that, hey, this fool's actually with the business, homie. When it comes to getting off, he's not gonna hesitate, right? And he's no punk. But at the same time, I believe anyone that's either put in that situation or that just a man, right? In general, most people that are back there, man, I guarantee you they'll get off in a heartbeat, right? They'll get off as well. Just what made this dude so popular was that either some of these individuals were locked up with them, he actually created a gang that ended up sparking, right? At catching the interest of others of how fast they grew and one went down, right? And especially since he was the one taking the credit. Because let's be real, man, the ones that were probably the ones that created it, they didn't want to put that out there. No one wants that heat, right? But apparently this dude did, and he's actually paying the consequences nowadays, right? And yeah, even though he does look like an EOP and he cats out and all that, right? People will still respect him, and you will always continue to hear about this dude, right? He actually made it to the book of legends, right? In the prison system or however they want to call them, you know what I'm saying? Because there's people that call these dudes legends. Some people call it what it is, you know. It's like this dude. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie, bro. I know there's gonna be people getting their clown on. Hey, it is what it is. A lot of people do respect him, and some even fear him, homie. Let's just be real, man. I done seen some videos out here on YouTube where they got paranoid just because of this dude, and he happens to be someone that, um, I guess, man. He's the president, bro. You know, like he likes to call himself. He's the presidente. And you could end up on a bad list, you know, especially if you end up on his bad side. He could put you on a certain list that if you happen to get caught in a bad situation and you happen to go to a certain spot, you could get got. You know, a lot of people actually do obey what this dude says, especially just because of the past of what he's done and actually created. A lot of people do see him as the founder, and that's just the way it goes. So if he's someone that people should fear, me personally, I would say Chales. But no, it's not just gonna be him that you have to deal with. You know, at the end of the day, just like the presidents have their little guards, this fool happens to have certain guards, and they're not always in the same spot or around him, right? So that's just something you have to be trucha about. So, but me personally, I would have to say Chales. Don't fear no man, and especially not one that looks like Pauly D. Or so. I mean, people have different names. They have called them Backstreet Boys. I don't know. Like I said, he doesn't fit a certain description. He does cat out a lot, and you've seen videos out there, man, where this dude's getting it. So if you haven't, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to look one up for you, man. But with that being said, man, this is your boy Conejo. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit a thumbs up for your boy, man. You guys already been knowing I highly appreciate every single one of you guys. Hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe, and all that good stuff. Drop comments, let me know what you guys think. And yeah, man, that's just gonna be a small profile on BadAss Snoop. Hope he doesn't mind. With all that being said, man, this is your boy Conejo, and we out.
It's E.B.K. every day, all day, to the day I die. It's E.B.K., E.B.K., E.B.K. It's E.B.K. every day, all day, to the day I die. All day it's E.B.K., E.B.K., E.B.K.